There is a house beyond the river, an old place that everyone in town whispers about, but nobody dares to visit after dark. The trees bend toward it, as if even nature itself is drawn to watch, and the river that flows beside it seems colder, darker, whenever the moonlight touches its water. I was 17 the first time I swore I would never go near that house again. But swearing is one thing, and keeping a promise is another. I broke it, and I regret it every night of my life. It started with a dare. My friends laughed, teased me, told me that I was too afraid of stories meant for children. 60 minutes, they said. 1 hour inside, that's all. They told me about the girl who had gone missing, about the lights seen in the attic, about screams that drifted across the water at night. I rolled my eyes, because that is what pride makes you do. So I crossed the bridge alone, with a flashlight in my hand, and a voice in my head that whispered that I was making the worst mistake of my life. The house looked worse up close. Its walls were gray and peeling, its windows blind and broken. The front door leaned half open, as if it had been waiting for me. When I stepped inside, the air changed. It was colder, heavier, and it smelled of mold and something metallic, like rust or old blood. My footsteps echoed far too loudly. In the living room, I found broken furniture, and strangest of all, toys scattered across the floor. They were not covered in dust the way they should have been. They looked almost new. That was when I heard the footsteps above me. I should have run. Instead, I climbed the stairs. The floorboards moaned as if they hated my weight. The hallway stretched long and dark, doors on both sides. I opened one and found a bedroom, wallpaper falling in strips, a single word written on the wall in something dark. Stay. The next room held a bed that was still made, the blanket dented with the shape of a body that had just been there. I froze, and that was when the third door creaked open on its own. Inside was a child's room. Dolls lined the shelves, their glass eyes glittering in the beam of my light. In the center was a music box, turning by itself, playing a slow, broken lullaby. And in the corner stood a girl. She looked about 8 or 9, her hair tangled, her dress torn. She did not blink, she did not breathe. Her eyes were black, empty, endless. When I whispered hello, she turned her head toward me and smiled. I ran. The door slammed behind me. Footsteps thundered all around me, from the walls, the ceiling. Too many to belong to one person. I threw myself out of the house and across the river. When I reached my friends, they laughed at me for coming back too soon. But then one of them pointed down. My shoes were wet, and in the mud behind me were dozens of tiny barefoot prints. That should have been the end. But a week later, my friends insisted we all go together. They wanted proof. They wanted to see the ghost girl, the music box, the things I swore I had seen. We crossed the river again, this time under a swollen white moon. The door opened with ease, and we stepped into the darkness as a group. The air was thicker this time, and every light flickered though our batteries were fresh. In the kitchen, Elena found something, a diary, old and blackened, as if burned. The writing inside was frantic, desperate. They don't want us to leave. She keeps singing upstairs. The children are not mine anymore. Their eyes are empty. Their mouths only echo the house. If anyone finds this, do not stay past midnight. The last page was smeared with something dark, and the words were nearly unreadable. The house will keep you. It always does. Elena slipped the diary into her bag, ignoring the way her hands shook. Then the music box began to play again, but this time, it came from below. We found a door half hidden behind a fallen shelf, leading to a staircase. The air that rose from it was damp and foul, the smell of rot and earth. We followed the sound, deeper and deeper, until we found not just a basement, but a tunnel carved in stone. Names were scratched into the walls, hundreds of them. Some faded, some recent. Too recent. At the end was a metal door. Something scratched behind it, nails or claws dragging against steel. And then a child's voice whispered, "Why did you come back?" The door opened by itself. Inside was a chamber filled with shelves, and on those shelves sat dolls. Dozens, hundreds, each with cracked faces and real hair, each wearing stained clothes, their mouths frozen mid-scream. They turned their heads toward us in unison. The door slammed shut behind us, and in the middle of the dolls stood the girl with black eyes. This time, she was not smiling. We ran through the tunnels, chased by laughter and screams that were not just hers, but many, too many voices of children, of men, of women. The house shook. The walls stretched. When we finally found our way back to the kitchen, everything had changed. The windows were gone. The door was gone. Even the boards behind the windows opened onto nothing but blank walls. Mark tried to break through. Jared screamed and pounded his fists, but there was no way out. And then, one by one, our lights went out. I do not remember how we escaped. I only remember waking at dawn by the river, all of us sprawled in the wet grass, shaking. Elena had lost the diary, or so she said, until the next morning when it appeared on my nightstand. A new line had been written in it, words in a handwriting that was not mine. "You left, but you are still inside." And sometimes, at night, I hear the music box again, soft at first, then louder, echoing through the dark. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I do not see my own eyes anymore. I see someone else's, smiling, black and endless.